There's one Bluey episode that was never officially aired on TV. They say, that day Bluey's voice sounded strange, almost like she was calling for help. An animator from a local TV studio once claimed he saw a red version, where Bluey's eyes were filled with blood. Bingo didn't appear at all. And Bandit? He just sat in a corner, trembling. In the final 3 minutes of that episode, only one line played again and again.
Don't let her out.
But who? Out from where? And why? No one really knows. But whoever saw that episode never watched Bluey again. So, what really happened in that episode? Let's dive in. It was a regular day. Bluey came home from school like always. But something felt off. The front door was open. The house was completely silent. Mom and Dad were nowhere to be seen. She asked Bingo, "Where's Mom and Dad?" Bingo smiled faintly, but said nothing. She simply took Bluey's hand and whispered, "Let's go to the playground. Everything's normal there." Bluey hesitated. Something didn't feel right, but she followed. They reached the playground, but it was empty. No kids, no laughter, no running. Just the sound of wind brushing through abandoned swings. The slide, the merry-go-round, all there, but covered in dust like no child had touched them for weeks. Bluey nervously asked, "Bingo, this playground is always clean, right?" Bingo kept walking, silent. Bluey walked toward the slide and saw something written on the ground in red. "Time is running out." She froze. "Who wrote this?" she asked. Bingo finally spoke. "The one who built this playground." Bluey turned, confused. "What do you mean? This is our town's playground." But Bingo, now looking into her eyes for the first time, said, "No, Bluey. This place only appears when a kid feels truly alone." Bluey stepped back, heart racing. In the far corner, an old swing creaked on its own. Suddenly, Bingo was gone. Bluey looked around, panic rising. "Bingo? Bingo?" A worn-out toy Bingo's dropped near her feet from nowhere. She picked it up. A whisper echoed behind her, "Bingo isn't here anymore." Bluey slowly turned around. Behind her stood a shadowy figure, a childlike ghost, whose face kept shifting. An entity that appears when a lonely child calls out. And once it arrives, it never leaves. Terrified, Bluey asked, "Who are you?" The figure smiled eerily and replied, "Your place was empty. Bingo invited me." Bluey stepped back. She tried to run from the playground, but every path led her back to the same spot. Same slide. Same dusty swing. And then, Bingo was standing there again. But her eyes were soulless. She asked softly, "Bluey, are you ready to go back?" Bluey stared at her. This wasn't Bingo. Something else was controlling her. Frightened, she screamed, "Bingo! What are you saying?" Bingo smiled coldly. "You had a choice, but now you're too late." Suddenly, the playground sky turned crimson. Red mist began to crawl across everything, like the world was shifting into something darker. Drops of blood dripped from the slide, and on the swing, a shadow was hanging. Bluey keeps running, but every time she ends up in the same place. The same slide, the same swing, and Bingo always standing there. Suddenly, an ancient voice echoes in the air, "Time is over." Bluey collapses to the ground, trembling. And then, a mysterious red door slowly rises from the ground. Bingo looks at her and says, "There's one chance to go back, but you'll have to make a sacrifice." Bluey softly asks, "What kind of sacrifice?" Bingo pulls out a toy. It's Bluey's childhood teddy bear. Then Bingo says, "Either give up a memory, or take away someone else's life." Tears fill Bluey's eyes. She whispers, "I can't hurt anyone. Take my memory." As soon as Bluey hands over the teddy bear, the red door begins to creak open. Inside, there's only darkness. No stairs, no ground, just an endless black void. Bluey steps in hesitantly, and the door closes behind her. Suddenly, we see Bluey's mom waking her up from bed. "Sweetie, it's time for school." Bluey opens her eyes. Everything seems normal. Mom, Dad, Bingo. But when she walks into her room, her teddy bear is gone. And behind the door, something is scribbled, A memory was taken, but you came back. Bluey smiles quietly, because now, she doesn't remember a thing. At the window, Bingo stares outside, and in her eyes, that same strange glow still remains. It's the first day of school. Bluey sits quietly in the classroom. There's an odd calm on her face. She doesn't laugh. She doesn't panic. She just watches. Bingo leans closer and asks, "Bluey, are you okay?" Bluey smiles gently. "I'm fine. I got everything back." But Bingo frowns slightly and says, "But you gave up your memory. So how do you remember everything?" Bluey looks at her and slowly whispers in Bingo's ear, "Because that memory never left me. It just moved into someone else." Bingo's face goes pale. Suddenly she sees a flashback. That moment when she said to Bluey, "A memory must be given." But in reality, it wasn't Bluey who gave up her memory. It was Bingo. She had sacrificed her own. In truth, Bluey had taken Bingo's sacrifice and saved herself. And now Bingo stays with Bluey every single day. But she remembers nothing. Not her name. Not her mom and dad. Not even her childhood. One night, Bluey stares out the window from her room. That same red door now visits her dreams. Every night. And in her ears, that voice returns. Hauntingly clear. "You got your memory, but you stole someone else's life." Bluey slowly turns to the mirror and gives a creepy little smile. Because she knows, to save herself, she sacrificed Bingo. A few days later, Bingo disappears. And no one even remembers her. Not the family. Not the school. Not even Bluey, at least that's what she pretends. Now Bluey sits quietly at the playground, with 2 teddy bears in her hands. One is hers, and the other was Bingo's. So, if you found this episode chilling, let us know in the comments. And for more creepy stories, don't forget to subscribe.